Transferring wealth successfully starts with asking yourself questions that will give your family a better life now and for generations to come. In this podcast, financial professionals John and Michael from Copper Beech Financial Group guide you through eye-opening questions to help you discover the truth about your wealth. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to The Truth About Wealth with John and Michael Parise of Copper Beech Financial Group. What's going on, guys?
We're good, Wendy. Hey. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing? It's so exciting to be here and to be with you guys.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you. And we have a guest today, correct?
Yes.
We do. Yeah, this is I guess a podcast of firsts, right? This is our inaugural one with you leading the show. And this is the first podcast that we've done with a new advisor at Copper Beech. And so I'd like everybody to meet Chris Ruffino, a recent addition. Chris, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I am thrilled to be here both at Copper Beech and on the Truth About Wealth podcast. So very excited.
Yeah, us as well. Yeah, so Wendy, we thought we would do a podcast with Chris, mostly to, well, obviously let all of our listeners know that we brought Chris on, and we are super excited to have him here, but also to have Chris kind of outline this next phase of Copper Beech. We're calling it Copper Beech Next Gen. We'll get into a little bit of that, but we wanted this to just really be an introductory podcast with Chris. So, Chris, maybe if you don't mind, why don't you give our audience a little bit of your background in the financial services industry and maybe talk a little bit about why you're excited to be with Copper Beech.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that. Nearing 20 years in the financial service industry and, really started my career, kind of bottom rung at Merrill Lynch and really worked my way up to dealing with, clients of all shapes and sizes, all the way up to the private wealth area there. Went on to a firm called Lockwood Advisors, which I think was just a unique spot in my career where we dealt with managed accounts and separately managed accounts and really the transition towards fee-based advice, which is, where the puck is going in the financial service industry. And, found my way over to another great company called Legg Mason, which was acquired by Franklin Templeton. That was really a tremendous place to work and spend, almost 7 years. But find myself in just a unique opportunity now at a firm called Copper Beech, which is, an amazing place that is on the forefront of comprehensive financial planning, holistic financial planning, and, just a great organization that really does the hard work for clients. So, thrilled to be here, excited to leverage the experience that I have in the industry and bring it to Copper Beech to, further help families and clients as time goes on.
Yeah, and Chris, you hit the nail on the head in terms of the comprehensive side of what Copper Beech does. And, that I think we've explained this to you, but that was a really key thing that we got from you in talking to you when we first met is sort of your philosophy around that comprehensive planning, which is a little bit of an anomaly sometimes in our industry. And it was what I think gravitated us together here because it is, that's the philosophy that I think you wanted to move towards as a practitioner. And obviously we're happy to help you kind of build that next step for yourself. So excellent.
Yeah. I would say, when I was working at Lockwood Advisors, a lot of the advisors that we were faced off with were financial planners, and the advice portion and the planning portion of their business was more important for them, than a lot of the industry. So I, about 10 years ago, I went and got my certified financial planner designation, which, is college classes around financial planning. And really that became a driver for me, both in my career, but really with clients of the importance of that. And nothing really emulates that like Copper Beech. I mean, Copper Beech is doing putting all the pieces together, right? Every number that a client has, and really figuring out what the best solutions are for their challenges, right? And where they want to go with their wealth. So, that's really what attracts me to comprehensive financial planning, but also to what Copper Beech is doing.
I'm going to jump in here for a second. Chris, welcome aboard, my friend. Excited about having you.
Thank you, John.
One of the things you and I talked initially when we first met was you recognize, and I appreciate the fact you do recognize what we do as a practice. But what you and I often talk about the language that we use in the Copper Beech method. And that attracted you to at least learning more about what we do. So we have a different conversation with clients that most financial advisors typically have. Maybe it's a good idea if you kind of outline from your perspective the difference between the conversation that you had or have with clients versus the conversation that we have with clients. If you could share with the audience what the difference it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the conversations that, I was having with clients was really just investment centric, right? Like it wasn't putting all the areas together, right? And, our industry is very siloed, right? There's specialists and experts in all different arenas, right? You have an accountant that specializes in taxes. You have, an estate attorney that's going to specialize in estate. You have a financial advisor, which most of the general population thinks just manages investments, right? And a lot of them just do that. An insurance broker. So everything's very siloed. So the conversation would really just be surrounded on investment management, right? And I think it's very different at Copper Beech where we're pulling all those areas together. We're leveraging other experts. It's the impact of all of those areas communicating together that can really help the family. So it's a very different mindset than what I was really working with in the asset management industry. Now, this is entirely comprehensive. And then really the other piece of that is estate, right? And you're looking at estate, I would look at it as estate planning, right? But what does that really mean? And Copper Beech makes that generational planning, right? How do we get wealth from the first generation, Gen 1, all the way to Gen 3? And there's so many areas there that can have impact on a family, what they want to do with their wealth, how they want to transfer their wealth. And that's another place that's just incredibly interesting to me at Copper Beech, and that we execute for clients like really no other firm does.
Yeah, Chris, that's, I think, a really good bridge into what I mentioned at the beginning, Copper Beech Next Gen. And this is a new initiative that we're unveiling through you with the company. And I'm hoping you can give our audience maybe a little bit of your vision for how that might look and how it differs from my father and I, and where we sort of started with Copper Beech in our family CFO type of platform. This is, I think, going to be the next evolution of that. So why don't you give our audience a little bit of a description on how you see this going forward?
Yeah, I really see it as, as you work across the wealth spectrum, the really wealthy are able to bring in experts like a Copper Beech to, look at everything, right? And Copper Beech Next Generation is taking that mindset, across the wealth spectrum where we can help them with all different aspects. I mean, I'll give you an example. One of the things that I was talking with a client about earlier today was personal catastrophe insurance, right? So that's property casualty insurance, but it's an umbrella policy, right? Is the layman term for that. And it's really just a policy that sits on top of automobile and home coverage and protects against a major catastrophe like a car accident where somebody unfortunately passes away. So it's something like that people need advice on, that people need help with, and may or may not have, across the wealth spectrum. So that's one area that we can bring in and, help a client understand if that's something that they need to help protect the wealth that they've created. Another is, just really diving into all of the different areas that they have and finding ways to, help them mitigate, or I want to say mitigate taxes using different tax structures, planning for them on an investment standpoint, making sure they're diversified, long-term focused. It's taking that approach that we're using, with the family office side and delivering it to clients because they have similar challenges. They just might not have, the magnitude of those challenges.
Yeah, I mean, and we very often, my father and I would be introduced to individuals that for various reasons might not either need the full-fledged family CFO offering that Copper Beech, has helped build over the last 14 years, but they needed help. And my father and I are only two people. I think we do a pretty good job of spreading ourselves about as thin as we can in some instances as it relates to, delivering a great service model to our clients. But we needed somebody else to help bridge that gap and take this vision that the family CFO side that we've created and bring that, as you said, Chris, across the wealth spectrum. Because families of all shapes and sizes need this type of holistic planning. They need somebody as that gatekeeper advisor that we term. And that's really why we're just so excited to have you with us, is because, again, you really, I think, buy into the philosophy of our firm, and you're just going to take that and run with it in a direction that we know it needs to go. But my father and I, didn't have the hours in the day to make it happen. So, we're really excited to have you with us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think in many ways it might be more important, across the wealth spectrum, where bad advice can have a really terrible impact of years of work, right?
Yeah.
Where, the advice that we're giving and really how thorough we are, right? And how much we listen and, look through everything, because a missing piece in a plan, if you don't have all the information, maybe we would deliver different advice, right? So the diligence that is brought forward at Copper Beech is like no other, and bringing that across the wealth spectrum, helps clients in many different ways. And then, really carrying the tenets of what Copper Beech is built on, which is, thinking about wealth generationally, asset protection, and doing that with tax efficiency, and then also governance, right? Like how do you want your wealth used when you pass it to the next generation? So bringing those core tenets of this business, across the wealth spectrum, I think can just have, a huge impact on, families across the wealth spectrum.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here. I think from a global view, how I looked at building Copper Beech with Michael, whether it's the family CFO spot or the next generation spot, the issues are the same. Clients are always challenged by making decisions, whether it's in their investment portfolios or their estate planning or their business planning, whatever it might be, and they make a decision about something. And the challenge we have in the industry is no one's watching those decisions. No one's looking over that client and making sure that he understands the impact those decisions will have on his family. And Michael, I've seen through the years, have seen that dilemma where when we go and audit a family, they get shocked by what we discover, and the conversations are the same. Like, how come my other advisor didn't see that, or how come my other advisor didn't give me that recommendation, or why did my advisor understand that thing that's going to happen 20 years from now? I don't understand why they don't see that. And the simple answer is there's not a practice that we know of that's designed to look at a 30-year model to say, if you invest your portfolio here, if you get a certain rate of return, you're going to be over here. But is that a gross or a net number? Because there's expenses along the way, including fees and taxation, that inhibits the growth of that contract, or that investment. So when we do that analysis in our audit, the client's shocked that they have less than they thought they were going to have at their retirement based on that analysis. So I think what we do really well is to make sure we watch over, have another set of eyes on that client's financial affairs, to make sure that someone's auditing that along the way, to make sure that he's made the right decisions, or he can ebb and flow with other decisions he might make because the world has changed. So we think we're the next paradigm shift. And I think to your next level with us, Chris, that next generation planning, that doesn't change. Whether you're affluent or not, someone's got to watch over the decisions your clients have made. I think that's the responsibility that we all have as advisors to make that happen. I don't know, Michael, you want to add something to that? You can, but that's my global view. And I think when I interviewed you, it's hard for me to motivate people to see what we do or motivate other advisors. Michael, I'll tell you that we talked to a lot of advisors along the way that say they get what we do, but they really don't. And what I was excited about you saw instantly what made us different. And you're going to build a career around what we built for our families, especially our current families and future families we bring on, whether it's Next Gen or the CFO model. So with that, Michael, I'll throw it to you if you have anything else you want to add to that.
Well, I think it was really well said in terms of families need, again, somebody that's going to be watching over their activities. And, very often I've heard advisors say that they want to be the first person that a family calls when a financial issue comes up. It might not end up being within the purview of us as an advisor team, but it may be a tax issue that we need to bring in the CPA on, or it might be, like you said, Chris, an umbrella coverage P&C issue. Then we have to bring in, the specialist on that side to be able to help with. So it's really being that advocate for the client and the family to really help them in whatever financial issue they may be dealing with at that time. And that's just really, really important to have. And again, we're just so happy to have you. We're happy that, you buy into this philosophy. And I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Chris, to that, because this is really your show. Not ours,
yeah, I mean, I do. Like, I always believe that, this, a lot of clients, right, investing or their interactions with a financial advisor is an event, right? Well, I got an inheritance, how do I invest that inheritance? Or, I bought a house, and I'm starting a family, right? I need some protection on the income that I'm going to make in my career, right? So they have interactions with advisors that are very event driven, right? What the difference of what we're going to do at Copper Beech Next Generation and what is being done at Copper Beech is that it's a relationship. It's an ongoing relationship with a client. We don't look at things, as, all right, well, you just had a baby. Let's make sure that, your income's protected so that baby can, grow up. The mother and the wife can, sustain the household, right? We look at it as looking at it, well, when that baby becomes an adult and that adult has children, right? Looking through it generationally, right? And the relationship that we develop with clients and families generationally, stops the event-driven investing or an event-driven insurance. It's how does it all tie together and work the best for them throughout their lives? And it's just a very different mindset and way of looking at it, but it's the right way to do it, because we're thinking, beyond this generation, to the next. So,
yeah, I mean, that's really well said as well, because, that ongoing maintenance, if you want to even use that term, it's more than that, but having somebody check in regularly is really important to make sure that, you as a client, you're taking advantage of every opportunity that's available to you. And of course, families change over the years. And to your point, Chris, having more of an event focused meeting with an advisor like a Copper Beech, we can certainly help, but it's not going to be nearly as effective as, ongoing meetings and making sure that we're in touch on a regular basis, because that's how we gather the data to be able to properly advise you. It's harder when we don't talk to you, a client, for 5 years and stuff happens. They get a new job, or they might get a new house, and they might have another baby. And so, there's all of these different life events require ongoing attention. So it's a really, really important component. Again, that's what you're here for, is to help, build out that Copper Beech Next Gen. But I wanted to also just ask, a little bit more about you personally. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family, your kids, and what you like to do? I don't know if you're going to get into the cold plunge.
You better not get that cold plunge.
Yeah, we could talk about that. I just want to add one more thing, though, to what we just said, too, is we're talking really about it being an ongoing relationship. But when, we go across the wealth spectrum, we can also be very proactive. Younger families don't have all of these things set up, right? They may not have, they might not have a living trust. They may not have, irrevocable trust. They may not have wills. Right. They may not have, a plan together. Like most of the, clients that I see out there and people that I know, really don't even have a retirement plan in place for them. So it's great that we can be proactive and do it right, the first time, and, tweak it as needed as things change in their lives. And I think that's really what, Copper Beech Next Generation is going to be about. About me. Yeah. So cold plunge, you guys brought that up, which is great. It's a life hack. I mean, really what it is. It just gives you this unbelievable energy. You never really want to get in it, right? But the first, 10 or 20 seconds is awful.
Torture.
But after that, you are on your way.
God bless you.
Chris, you have to tell me more about this, because I
No, you don't. You don't want to know more about
No,
that.
I can't even do the cold shower. Like, I can't even do the last 5
Exactly.
seconds. So what, you have to get past 15 seconds, you're saying, before you start to.
Yeah, it has to shock your body, right? And when it shocks your body, and look, I mean, obviously I'm not a doctor, but what I can tell you is the effect on your energy level, your mood, and really just, vitality. When you let's say when you get out of it after 2 or 3 minutes, you just feel so alive, and it really lasts sustainably for, a good 3 or 4 hours. Like, no more coffee. The power of cold water is there. But like I said, you don't really ever want to get in, but there's a big hurdle for you to cross in the morning. And it's like you already had your first win of the day. So it does that to you as well. But yeah, it has a ton of different effects. So if you put it in on the, social media or Google, and there's plenty of people out there talking about the power of cold plunging. And yeah, I'm addicted to it. So it's pretty wonderful.
So, Chris, how long before you get John and Michael to do it?
No, when you know.
It's a good time of year to start. It's a good time of year to start. I mean, it's warmer outside, so the water doesn't need to be as cold, right? And but you do need to shiver, right? Like, if you don't go in and actually have it shock you and shiver, you're not getting all of the effect. And then you just can't immediately jump in a hot tub. You have to, warm up naturally. And look, it's an amazing way to start your day. My body feels better for it. And a lot of it's actually just mental. I don't know. I feel tighter, like less inflammation. It's been really great. So I guess, that's one of the things that people need to know about me. I guess the other, I play a lot of basketball. I'm in my 40s now. So I guess the cold plunge helps there. I definitely do some yoga if I can to, stretch me out and, help me play basketball. I have an awesome family. My wife, and I have raised like 3 amazing children. My son's playing soccer. My 2 girls are amazing dancers. They're great. Just did nationals in Virginia Beach. I mean, they did great. My daughter was top 10. So pretty nice. Crazy. 9 years old. So yeah, I mean, it's they're awesome. Just can't wait to see them, keep growing, but not too fast, right? So.
Chris, I want to jump in here for 2 seconds and close this off for today. One of the things I think you've learned since you've been with us, and I'll compliment you again, is that you've learned that we live and breathe what I refer to as the serve first philosophy, and the pay always takes care of itself later. That when you adopt that principle, it's not a product-driven process we go through. We're not selling product to a client to earn a commission or to earn a fee. We counsel, we consult, we educate, and we develop strategies that they might or might not want to implement, but we throw the whole basket of water at them so they get an idea on what options they have. Because I always get frustrated when clients are asked what their options are or their objectives are, and I always tell people that how do you know until you know your options, how do you know what your objectives could be? So I kind of backtrack on that, and our process that you're developing with us is. You serve that client at the highest level, you educate, you develop strategies. If they want to implement something, they can through us objectively. And that's a big challenge for a lot of advisors because they grew up in a selling environment, that sale, non-sale that you and I joke about all the time. But we've gotten away from that as a practice, and I think it's benefited not only the client, but us as a practice. And I think that's that next paradigm shift that we continue to see. As long as we keep the client focused first, everything else falls into place second. That's just my recognition. You're starting to see that, and I think it's motivating you to kind of follow that path, which is important to me. I'll be self-centered for a second because I wanted to build out Copper Beech at that model. And as I said earlier, a lot of advisors don't understand that, don't want to go down that road. They're so accustomed to pitching product that they get caught in that. Again, you've seen the difference, and I compliment you on that again.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, John. I mean, look, I'm thrilled to be here. I mean, I can see the value of what Copper Beech has done for families. And it's not just, a dollar sign, right? It's not just the value, monetarily. There are so many other things. I mean, just the idea of, bringing families together to have a family meeting of, how they want their assets distributed or used in future generations. And doing that ongoing is just unique. So there's so many different things that Copper Beech does that are unique that we can bring across the wealth spectrum to proactively plan for clients and just help more people. And the end result of it is, yeah, we'll make a nice living doing that. And at the same time, we are, going to help clients create wealth, pass it generationally, keep their assets protected, and do it tax efficiently. So, happy to be here and really learn from your experience too, John. I mean, you've been in this industry for, quite a while, and there's so many things to learn, and you've seen so much. So I'm thrilled to be able to, learn from you, because I do think it's about education, both the client and, what we can deliver, just, continuing to get better and better at that.
Yeah. And the frustrating thing that I always face going back 38 years of my career is the plans I've put in place for families, I will never see implemented, because that's that generational thing. So you always hope you do the best for the client to build a model that they're going to accept and appreciate and hopefully take advantage of things that we built together for that family. And again, it's frustrating to me that I can't look back and say, hey, I see that work. It worked. All the things we recommended came true. We do have a family that we work with. We've told you a story before that we did have a client pass away on us, and the backstage, that's what I referred to it, the backstage of implementation of things we put in place, I get a chance to see with this one client. Unfortunately, he passed away for me to see that. But it was exciting for us and for the family going forward that everything was in lockstep, put in place. Client was comfortable, the widow was comfortable, and relies on us on a daily basis to take care of their financial affairs. And we meet with their kids every year to make sure we put our arms around it and be, to your point earlier, it's a proactive process that we bring our clients through. Michael, you want to add to that?
No, that was awesome. And Chris, this has been great. So happy to have you again. I'm glad that you were able to hop on here and just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your role. And, let's do this again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for it. And, appreciate the opportunity and, ready to go. Definitely.
Thank you, Chris. You're a great team player. We appreciate you having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And this is a great inaugural episode for me on learning of it. The new guys, the older guys, the
old guys.
Older guys. I didn't say old guy. Chris did, though. I'm getting him in trouble. Okay. Well, thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. This way, when John and Michael release a new episode, it will come directly to your listening device. Please like and share this with your friends and family. For everyone at Copper Beech Financial Group, I'm Wendy McConnell, reminding you to live your best day every day. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Truth About Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Copper Beech Financial Group. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.
This material is for informational purposes only. Neither APFS nor its representatives provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Please consult your own tax, legal, or accounting professional before making any decisions. Copper Beech is not affiliated with American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. and American Portfolios Advisors, Inc. Securities offered through American Portfolio Financial Services, Inc., a member of FINRA SIPC, investment advisory and financial planning services offered through American Portfolio Advisors, Inc., an SCC registered investment advisor. These opinions are subject to change at any time without notice. Any comments or postings are provided for informational purposes only and do not constitute an offer or a recommendation to buy or sell securities or other financial instruments. Readers should conduct their own review and exercise judgment prior to investing. Investments are not guaranteed, involve risk, and may result in a loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Investments are not suitable for all types of investors. Copper Beech is an unaffiliated entity of American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. and American Portfolios Advisors, Inc. Any opinion expressed in this forum is not the opinions of American Portfolio Financial Services, Inc. and American Portfolio Advisors, Inc., and have not been reviewed by the firm for completeness or accuracy.
American Portfolios and Copper Beech Financial Group are not affiliated with any other named business entities mentioned.